let's get started because we're already behind. Hi, I'm Cheryl. I've been at the library for 24 years as of actually today. So I want to welcome y'all. I've been working with genealogy for 24 years and actually 26 because 2 years in Albuquerque. Hidden Treasures is one of my favorite places because I like to remind people there's more than just the internet. Things are hiding everywhere. And that's what we're going to try to do today, is to give you some other ideas of where to search. And so the first place we're going to look at is the archives or museums or historical collections. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why. The best is that there's a lot of original documents hiding out at museums and archives, and they'll let you look at them sometimes. Sometimes they're digitized and you have to look at them through their websites. You may be able to touch some of them, but they have a lot of restrictions. But going to visit museums and archives and historical collections out there, historical societies, they have these places where you can look at things. They have maps, microfilm. There's just all kinds of places. Plus, they have people that can answer questions for you and help you because they've been researching certain areas. We just tend to forget. And then sometimes these archives or collections may be online. And the best way to find them is Googling. That's pretty much what I've done in finding some places that I suggest to you. And then just looking to see, is there a museum for trains? Well, yes, there's a lot of trains, museums out there. Or is there one for mining in Pennsylvania? Yes, there's museums for mining or miners or old mines. There's a lot of museums. And sometimes at these museums, they'll have employee lists from the back, from history, and you may find something there because of that. You just never know what's hiding out there. And so what I want to do is just to give you a couple of ideas. Well, of course, the Smithsonian has a lot of things hiding. And some of it you see on display, some of it's in their back rooms or in their archives. They do have ways for you to find out what they have. As you can see on the archival resources page, I just kind of grabbed a couple of pages of their website to show you. And when you click on all of these, the history and culture, science collections, and things like that, you can see what they have, and then also find out how to contact them, how to ask for, what else can you do for me? Or what do I need to do to come to research at the Smithsonian? So there may be days that you're going to plan to go to Washington, D.C. and go to the Smithsonian to do research. It's not just for fun in the front, seeing the museums, but there are things hiding in the back. One of the other things that's nice about the Smithsonian's is they have classes that are online for you to learn more. They have webinars and things to find out what's available. It's a great place to explore. And did we give them the links, to the page?
I gave them the handout, yes, okay. And I'm posting links as you talk.
Okay. because it is really lots of fun. And I just barely gave you just what's a few of the things. And the digital collections is really lots of fun to look at, just to explore. You never know what might be there. Now, sometimes it may not be on a person that's in your family, but whatever their occupation was, or whatever their hobby might have been, or whatever society they belong to, could be at the Smithsonian or any of these museums and archives that I'm going to show you, just to give you an idea. The New York State Archives, it is going to be about New York, but there's just so many things, as you can kind of see some of the topics that they have about probate and wills and marriage records. They have a huge digital collection, and as you probably can tell, architect might be in there. And you may not think much about the architect, except that maybe somebody in your family helped build some of the buildings in New York State somewhere, and you might find pictures of those original buildings that your ancestor helped build. So, it's just so much fun. And then they have lots of maps, and they have a research room. The one thing about New York research is things are hiding not only at the New York State Archives, but at the Public Library and at other the Historical Society and the Genealogical Societies in the area. And New York is huge with all kinds of research that's available. In fact, there was a book created on how to research in New York. And it started off as a small book, and now it's 3 volumes. So, and we have the book, the set. And it will tell you about what's at the archives and how to search and research at the archives. It is a lot of fun, and it is on the top of my list. Even though I don't have anybody to research for New York, I just want to go to the New York State Archives to look at everything in person. For a local area, to give you an example, we have the Interurban Railroad Museum here in downtown Plano. In that museum is an archives. It is in a small area upstairs, and you didn't probably know, but there is an upstairs at the railway museum. But what we have done is scanned our images and our photographs, and we have cataloged the 300 or 400 books that we have on railroads. And most of it is for electrical or electric railway museum, but there are bits of information there that could help you if you know somebody that was maybe a conductor or worked on the interurban or electric railway, or even some of the other types of trains out there. And we have a lot of information there. And then we have connections to other museums and can tell you where else to search. I say we in that I volunteer and help to make sure these things are available on the archives website. That's my second job next to working in the library here. As I said, I just Google sometimes. I wanted to know what's available for African Americans. Well, I do know that a young lady has put together a Plano African American Museum online. And this is just the home page. And she has gathered research and information all about Plano African Americans. And when you go to this page, you can see what's available for this area. She has added more and she plans to see what else she can get in the future. It started off as a Girl Scout project and has grown to be a lot more. We also have the Dallas Holocaust Museum. That's just for the local. There's national Holocaust museums and other information, and they provide a lot of information for Jewish research. And it's a really good place to go to looking at their library and archives. Now, Texas Women's University, I know a lot about it because I went to school there. I worked there way back in the day. And the women's collection is one of the largest collections of information on women. They have cookbooks, but the other thing they have is they are the place to go for WASP research. That's the women air pilots. And they have oral histories, uniforms, books, any kind of research that's been done about these ladies during World War II. It's a fascinating place to go and to read through oral histories. So if you know somebody that might have been a pilot during World War II, this would be the place to go for that. The other one that I have here is UTD. They have an aviator collection, and there's a lot of things hiding in their back rooms. And so when you go, they would pull out boxes for you to look at. They have an archive room where they'll bring things out to you and you can look through things. And what you would do with all of these archives is make an appointment. And then they would give you the rules. Some archives let you use a pencil and paper, and that's about it when you walk into that room. Some of them will let you take pictures of the books. Others will say, you know, we can make a scan for you, but you can't. You know, there's just a lot of rules because we're trying to protect our things. And as you can see, one of the things they do is have some miniature books. That's what I love about UTD. We went for a tour and got to see their back room where their boxes of archives are at. I've also been to TW. One of the things too that they're trying to plan is to have an area where all the inaugural ball gowns for the governor's wives will be. That's just another thing that might be able to help you. These are just a few of the societies that are genealogical or historical. American Ancestors is New England, and Gen Friends, that's what we call them for short, and CCGS. These are two groups that are here representing Collin County and Plano. And they have history on their links and pictures and stories on their pages, and they also have society meetings that you can attend. American Ancestors has a great database for New England research. It is a subscription, but they do have some things that are free. And if you have New England ancestors, it is highly recommended. You will get to the marriage records and death records for New England that you may not find at other places. So it is a place to try. I see that there's some chats. Is everything okay, Terry? Do we have any?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I'm posting the links. Does anybody have any questions for Cheryl at this point?
We're going to the next area.
Okay.
Um, Now, libraries are one of my favorite because I want you to know that you may think that everything is online, but it's not. There's probably still a good 70% of items that are not available online. And that's part of the reason why I want to tell you about these museums and libraries and the courthouses, because they have not been able to scan and digitize and put everything online. It's going to be a long time before all of those things are scanned and digitized and available online. Even on Family Search, they may have scanned all of their records, but they're still not all online. And even so, they're not indexed. You would still have to browse through thousands and thousands of images. And I had the hiccup, sorry. Excuse me. So things like books, oops. Well, let's try that again. Things like books are in the libraries, in the archives, even at the courthouse. Books are still very important. We have abstracts, we have originals, we have indexes. Some libraries may have the microfilm to newspapers in that area. They will have maybe county records that are at their library for their county. So there's a lot that is still out there that's not online. I just have to reiterate that. Some people think all I have to do is look on the internet. And when we get I can't find that birth record. Well, there's two reasons. One, it's just not been scanned or digitized yet. Or two, it's just too early yet. If it's been in the last 50 years, that birth or death or marriage record may not be online. And the only way to get to it is either at a library or at a courthouse. You have to remember that. There's just so much still hiding out there. But the library has databases like Ancestry, Fold 3, there's microfilm reader printers. We have large scanners that are available for books. If you wanted to scan your books, scan your pictures that you have and you want to try to digitize them, we have ways to do that. We have a whole big map case. Now, most of our maps for our library are for Collin County. That's because we're not a large library in the way of room. If we had a lot of room, we'd have more maps, but we don't have a lot of room, so we stick to Collin County. But like if you went to Dallas Public, you can get more maps because they have more room. We also have staff and volunteers that are available to help with a lot of things. Most of the time it's staff. If there's some in-depth research like with DNA, we try to find somebody to help you because that's not, we don't have somebody that's really well-versed in DNA in our staff, but we have volunteers that are that way, have that capability, and that's the ones we lead you to. We have interlibrary loan. Now, that means we can borrow microfilm or books. Books don't usually loan out very often from other places, but they do lend microfilm a lot. And we can do interlibrary loan for you, but you have to have a library card with us. We have a really good machine to look at microfilm where you can save it and print it or save it to a thumb drive and keep it. Because of that, anybody that has a library card in this area can use interlibrary loan only for genealogy. Most of the time, our rules are for Plano citizens only, but for genealogy request, we can help you. That's where we can get a lot of those old newspapers that are on microfilm hiding out at some other library, and we can borrow them through interlibrary loan. We have newspapers for McKinney, Plano, and for Dallas on microfilm. So again, if you wanted Denton, you'd have to go to Denton Public. And if you wanted, something from Sherman, they have some, but I'm not sure what all they have. So, checking the library in the area that you're researching to see if they have newspapers is the way to go, because most of the time the newspapers, like if you tried to contact the editor of the Plano Star-Courier, they would say, no, we don't have newspapers, but you need to go to the Plano Public Library because they know we have the newspapers. And so that is usually what's going to happen. To get newspapers, you have to go to your local library in that area. Archives, we have such a good archives collection, but it does pertain to Collin County. And so that might be hard because you're probably, I'm not researching Collin County. What do I do? Well, check with, again, the library in the area that you're researching. Denton County, Denton Public Library has a great archives also. And so checking out these other libraries in the areas that you're researching to see what they have can help you. We also have connections. I always like to remind everybody what I mean by that is you're researching a certain subject area, like maybe the cemetery in the Collin County, and you want to understand who's buried there and maybe find out how to take care of the headstones. We have connections. We know how to get to people in Houston for genealogy research. I have connections in Waco. So, those are the things where we can help you with a lot of different help. So that being said, I wanted to show you a little bit about our library. We do have a website. It's called Genealogy Center. The way to get to it is off of the home page. You would go to library, planolibrary.org, see the visit tab, and it has all of our major libraries and our collections, and there's one for the Genealogy Center, and it would take you to the information there. And I wanted to say, even though I keep talking about we have Collin County maps, Collin County microfilm and newspapers, we also have books and research for every state. And we have a lot of research and help for anywhere in other countries. So there is a lot here, even though we have a small area, there's still a lot that's here and available to help you. On our page, we have our databases that we subscribe to, that we pay for. We also have a lot of helpful information about Plano or Collin County or Texas research. And these are all the links that we are suggesting besides our databases that we subscribe to. We also talk about the classes that we're having or have had and that they're recorded. And like today's class, because we're recording it, it'll be online. And we have things that are always going on. History Harvest, if you can see that, we're trying to collect pictures and documents for Collin County. So our website is a great place to explore. You never know what you might find there that might help you. Right now, of course, this would be for Collin County, but that's the idea when you go to different libraries. So here's McKinney. I know that they have a good genealogy collection, and they have links that are available on their page. A lot of times when you go to a library website, the best thing is to Google maybe the city genealogy library McKinney, or Denton Library Genealogy. Well, this is what the home page for the landing page, not the home page, but the landing page to find Denton Public's genealogy page. Both of them, and we do too, all of us have indexed some of our early newspapers put those indexes online so that you can try to find people that have died or were married, or birth records that were announced in those newspapers. And each of us have indexes to the newspapers, because in those early years, if it wasn't for us and our volunteers indexing these newspapers, you'd have to look page by page. And then sometimes you still have to look page by page in a newspaper, in the old ones, for any birth, marriage, or death records. One of the things that's fun at any of these pages is to look at all of their links and see what they have and see what's going on. You never know what might happen. I was playing around on the Denton Public Library's page and went to the local history archive and clicked on it, and it has a lot of little links to stories and articles and blogs, and one of them happened to mention the Broom Street in Denton. And I was like, well, I didn't know there was a Broom Street in Denton. Well, that's my maiden name. So I had to go read about this Broom Street in Denton. Never thought that I would find something. And there it mentioned a distant cousin and a little story about them. So I found something just because I was playing around and testing out what I could find. Then the Dallas Public Library, whole 8th floor pretty much is genealogy and history. And then the 7th floor is the Dallas and Texas history floor. Both places have landing pages in the library's website and have classes. They have links to different research. Dallas, the 7th floors has exhibits and things. It's amazing because when you go to the 7th floor, and I'm talking about them more than I am genealogy, but when you go to the 7th floor, you just see the front of the archives, and you can see some really cool things that they have on display and all of this. But they have this back area that is probably as big as the Haggard Library, 3 floors. There's just lots of things hiding out in their archives. And the only way to find out about what's hiding is to look at what they have on their page and to ask. And any topic, maybe, they might have something on it. You can go in going, I want to know about the first part of the Dallas Cowboys coming to the area, and they can pull up files that they have. They can pull up pictures about a cemetery, in the history of that cemetery. You just never know what might be hiding there on the 7th floor. And they have a large collection of city directories. And sometimes those city directories are the only way you can prove somebody was in Dallas, McKinney, Texas, just any city in Texas. They may have a city directory for them. I'm just really always amazed at what's hiding there. The genealogy floor, they have lots and lots of books, microfilm, maps, and other things that are available. The Texas State Library and Archives, we tend to think that they're just providing things for other libraries and record management, but they have a large archives collection and digital collection, and they have research available. They are the ones that worked with the Mormons back in the 60s to help get Texas records microfilmed. And they worked out a deal with the Family Search or Family History Center that they could go to the different counties, microfilm their records. And then those microfilm records were, there were copies made for the Texas State Library and then copies made for the Family History Center in Salt Lake. We have a set, or Texas State Library has a set. And then what happened is it was so massive that they spread out those county records and microfilm to different universities, depositories. And so that is one of the largest things that they have, is this microfilm set of birth, death, marriage, deeds, probate, wills, land records, court records that were microfilmed. And now we can look at them, or you can go to Family Search and look at them. And so that's a way to try to find some of those deeds, records, and things that you can't yet see all on Family Search. They also have an index or a file on the prisoners at the major, oh my gosh, I've forgotten the name of the prison, but they work with all of that. So there's a lot of things that they have that's available at the state library. And by looking in their card catalog, you can get more information, or you can call and see what other things they have available. Now, University of North Texas, a lot of their special collections is going to be on the university, but they have other topics, and you can't quite see what all of them are, but they have a lot of places to go and things to research and find. The one thing that they are well known for, or that you should know about, is the Portal to Texas History. They've been working with the libraries, historical societies, genealogical, I got the hiccups again, across the state of Texas. And they're helping them digitize their records and put them available on the Portal to Texas. If you have any Texas history that you need to try to find out about, this is a place to try. It will lead you to newspapers, magazines, books, documents, letters, just all kinds of things that might be available out there. That's what the Portal to Texas History does for you. And sometimes somebody will ask me, about some kind of research or a topic that has to do with Texas, and I've gone through my usual places like the local library that they're wondering about, or and not find anything, and then I go, oh wait, don't forget Portal to Texas History, and I go there, and boom, we find something. And they try to work out with the smaller libraries, smaller newspapers, to get the smaller newspapers scanned and digitized and put on the portal, because some of them just can't afford to make those available any other way than to go with the Portal to Texas History. If we didn't have our own digital collection, we would probably join Portal to Texas History, but we have our own digital collection for Collin County, so we do our own collection. But UNT has a lot of things that are hiding out and worth looking at. There are the Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It is called the Genealogy Center. And remember, this is the Indiana Library. Every time I say Allen County, a lot of people, somebody will stop and go, oh, the Allen Library. No, the Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It is considered the genealogy guru for us for a lot of things. Most genealogy books and most of your genealogy periodicals, at least one copy is of each periodical or book is sent to Allen County Public Library. It's kind of like, if you know that there's the Library of Congress, that's the library, regular library uses Library of Congress. Well, genealogy groups use the Genealogy Center at the Allen County Public Library. And it's a large collection. And they produce a lot of webinars, pathfinders. There's just a lot of things that they have available all the time that is worth going and exploring. My other favorite library outside of Texas is the Library of Virginia. So if you're researching in Virginia or West Virginia, in even some of the surrounding states, they have information there that's worth looking at. They also have a lot of microfilm available for the different counties, and records like land records and deeds, probate, birth, marriage. Those are available at the Library of Virginia. And we can do interlibrary loan from them. We can borrow from those, from the Library of Virginia. I will tell you, Allen County might have some great things, but they do not lend their things because they consider them to be like, this is the holding place for all books, and we don't want them to be lent out and then lost. So you do have to go there for a lot of the research in their books. If you find a great book, that might be the place, but hopefully we can find another copy of that book somewhere else, and we can always try to help you with that, or they can even suggest places. There is the Library of Congress. They have a lot of digital collections. They also have guides to preservation. They have genealogy and local history reference and research. It is kind of more of a broad collection, but there are things there that are worth having a look to see what might help you. It is, Library of Congress is on the list of my to-dos, my bucket list. I want to go to the Library of Congress to see their genealogy area. But I do know, because a friend of mine just went recently, you have to have a real reason to go to the Library of Congress to use their reference. The same with the New York Public Library. You have to have a reason to use their research library. You can't just go in to go, well, I just want to look. So just note that if you plan to go, you have to have a reason to use their research area. Does anybody have any questions about the library area?
There are none at the moment.
Okay, all right. Now we're going to go into courthouses. I'm not going to talk a lot here, only because we do have a courthouse class in itself, and we do plan to present it probably this next year sometime. We do it every 6 to 8 months, and we just realized we haven't presented the courthouse class again. Courthouses are a great place to go, but it will depend. Some courthouses, some county clerks and people don't mind you coming in and doing the research. You have to have what you want, because they're not going to just let you in to look at records. But there are those counties that may not be nice, or they may go, oh, okay, I'll let you in. You can go look at that book. Or they may say, let us do the research for you. You know, there's just, they're protective. And, but that's where you will find your original documents. Libraries and archives, I say we got these great books, and what we'll have is an index to court records or land records or deed records, and the abstract where it says, in this deed, Charles Swan has given his land to these people. And that's what the abstract says. And it lists those people, and it tells you what page and what volume to see the original deed. Well, what you then have to do is go to that county and say, okay, I have this information and I want to see the original in your big books. And what's really fun, if you've ever been to a courthouse, or if you've not, those records sometimes are in large, heavy duty books. And, you know, you have to have big support and be able to lift it up and put it on a table to open it up. And sometimes they haven't been open in a while, and you may come out sneezing just because it's been a little dusty in that area. But you can see the land record and you can follow it through. Sometimes you get lucky and it's all been microfilmed, so you can go and use their microfilm machines and look at their microfilm, even though it's not been digitized and put out there at online or somewhere else. Marriage records, birth, death, they may have things available for you to look at, but there are a lot of restrictions, and you have to find out each county, each state, each area that you go has different rules. It could be 50 years, it could be 100 years. Mississippi, for birth records, it was 100 years. My grandfather was born in 1915. I had to wait until after 2015 to be able to look for his birth certificate in Mississippi. The only problem is that there's 5 different counties he could be in. So that would mean I may have to go to each county. Some of them have been microfilmed, but it's still, I have to go there to do the research. The land and deeds probate, you never know what you might find. And they do microfilm a lot of the old records. Deed records have a lot of things hiding in them, land records also, so you never know what you might find. And that may be the answer to that question by looking at those original documents. Sometimes in the indexes or abstracts, they've misspelled the name, or maybe they didn't put all of the information that was in that folder on that probate. And they only put the basics. This was a probate record for William Broom, and he died this date, and the executor is this person, and that's it. And to find out any more, you would need to go and look through the original probate records in this big book and find the rest of the information. And there might be the things that say his children were, or he had this much land and this is where it was, and whatever else could be hiding in those records. So the courthouse has a lot of great things. I am very proud to say that Collin County has a great county clerk who believes in genealogy research and providing for genealogists. So you can see she's created a genealogy corner. She has created a way for us to do research for land records and marriage and birth. She's created databases or indexes that we can go online and search. She's made sure that other things are connected so you can find out about Texas cemeteries. Look, she's even put the Plano Public Library connections there. But she's worked on making sure the societies and the groups are mentioned here in the portal to Texas history. She works for us as well as for others. So she's done a great job. And there are indexes to a lot of things. You can find out a lot of the land records and who owned what and follow it through back to a certain point and find information. If it's not online, it will be available at the courthouse, and you can go in and they have great help that will lead you to the microfilm or to the big books of records that might be available for you. Again, though, whenever you go to the courthouses, you can't just go in and say, show me everything about John Smith. You need to know what you're going to go in. William Broom from 1875, looking at the land records for him. So things like that are what you need to have when you go to a county courthouse. I chose Victoria to explore to see what was available there. They have a few things. There is a database of deeds and marriage and birth and some other things. And it's kind of small here, but this is my dad and my mom and some of the land that they bought, and links to the papers, the deeds, the information. So it was kind of fun to go back and see what my parents paid for the land that and the house that we lived at for many years in Victoria. But they have a lot of links and a lot of help there. It's hard though, because I will tell you, whenever I Google, and that's usually how I find some of these court records, some county clerks are not, we here in Texas seem to call them county clerks, but the other states, they're not always a county clerk. And so they, see, like here, it's clerk services, and they have different things that are available. And because it's on this tiny screen, let me see. I'm going to show that they have military discharges, they have some other things that are available, but they don't fall right under county clerk. There's a clerk of the district court. And so they have other names that are available for them. And that happens from state to state and county to county. We have books in our library here that help you to find out about that county and where certain records are at, whether they're at a county clerk or at a district court clerk's office. And that would be a way to help you to find that information. And then we have phone numbers and websites. Now, our book is already probably out of date because it was written 5 years ago. And so links to websites might not be correct, but we have the names and the information for those counties and the clerks and where to get the information, and that can help you figure out where to go. Ellis County has a little bit of information. It was another county I went to try and find something else about. So we will have a class in the future on courthouses because there's a lot of things that we have hiding that the courthouse has, and there are ways to research it. I mean, there's even a big book that was done on courthouse research. So it's not just a simple thing to do. Just remember, when you go to a courthouse, you need to have a research plan, because they're not just going to want to help you if you just say, John Smith. They want to know more whenever you come to a courthouse. In a library, we know to ask you several questions. If you came in looking for John Smith, we would ask you a bunch of questions. While at a courthouse, they don't always have the time or the staff to say, so what, John Smith, do you want at this county? And so that's part of the reason why you have to have a little bit more of a plan when you go to a courthouse. Do you have any other questions?
There is a question. Can you tell us what your upcoming topics are?
I'm coming to that. That's my next slide. So see, but before I got to that, that's why I was pausing for a minute. We have a lot going on in October. October is one of our favorite months because it's Family History Month. So we try to have a lot of things planned. And we have 2 different dates for the History Harvest. What we're really hoping is people from around the area would come with, especially Collin County, and we'll help you scan some of your images or your documents for an exchange, in that you bring us these things, we scan them for you, put them onto a thumb drive, but also ask that we keep a set to add to our collection. So that's why it's a harvest. We're trying to reap on Collin County. We want Collin County history. And we will be booking time to do this history harvest. And Terry, there is a link on our home page of the library. There's a box there that says History Harvest. So, and it explains a little bit more, because one of the things that we're asking is to set up times. We'll spend 15 to 30 minutes helping you scan and digitize those items and make copies for you. But we need to book that time on October the 11th or October 25th. If you happen to contact us because you say, I've got 5 large journals about somebody from Collin County, we're going to say, great. can we keep those for a month and scan them and then turn them back into you? But we need to talk to you about all of that. So we want you to reach out to us at genealogy@plano.gov. Always remember, if you have a question for us, if you were interested in something else from tonight or anything that's coming up, genealogy@plano.gov is the way to find us or to ask us questions. We have a lock-in coming October 21st. It's from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. There are webinars all day. There's going to be a lunch and supper break. There is a link to it on the Genealogy Center's page right in the middle to the classes that are going to be offered. There is a poster here in the Genealogy Center with the list of the classes and the times they're offered. Everything is going to be in person. So we do want you to come to the library, spend the day seeing the classes or researching. And we call it a lock-in because that's a Friday, and normally we close at 6. Well, if you're doing the classes, you can stick around till 9 o'clock. So come to the genealogy lock-in. A thing to note is that these webinars are people from across the U.S. that are great speakers, and they are recorded. So we will be watching their recording. There are libraries all across Texas. So if you don't want to come to Plano or you don't live in Plano, you can go and check out whether a library near you in Texas is doing it. Some of the libraries are having virtual where you can register and watch it online. We are not offering that this year. So if you live out of the state and want to watch it, I would check with Waco to see how you could sign up to watch it through Waco's record, their setup. Waco is who started this 10 years ago, and we started off with just 6 libraries being involved, and now we're all across the state of Texas, in Oklahoma, and Fort Wayne, Indiana, and that's because Kurt Witcher, who is the librarian at Fort Wayne or the Allen County Public Library, is speaking. October 27th, we'll be discussing land records, which is a great place to learn a lot of things about land records. It is an overwhelming bit of information. It's another one of those where a big fat book was created on how to do land record research. November 9th, we're doing scouting military records. So we're going to give you ideas of how to find military records. And then on November 17th, we're showing you how to find your military records on Fold 3. December 7th, it's about finding those lost women in your family tree. So those are the things from October to December. We do have lots of things planned for January through April. So just keep checking back. Of course, that won't be all available or announced until the very end of December when we start, giving out what we're doing next year. We will be celebrating next year throughout the year here in the library or in some of the classes, history of Plano, because Plano will turn 150 years old. Now, we were around before 1873, but that's when we became incorporated. But that's our celebration is 1873, based on 1873. Any other questions? Anything else anybody wants to know about? I did say, you know, don't do everything on the internet, but then I also said, if you need to find a museum, a library, you have to Google. So you would start by Googling and finding them, and then you may have to plan a visit once you find that museum or library that might have a lot of information for you. I hope I gave you some new ideas of where to research, and come visit us here at the library or send us an email if you have any kinds of questions. We do try to help, you know, in any direction that we can.